I've done all of Brighton.
Hello there, you loose units, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Boy Reviews. I'm, of course, your host, Andrew Iles. Hope you've been looking after yourselves, looking after each other, pulling your heads in and all that jazz. Welcome back. Today we were talking about a thriller film that I was very pumped and excited about when I first heard it was announced, and it has been delayed, but here it is. Today we're going to finally review the long-awaited sequel of A Quiet Place Part 2. The long-awaited follow-up to the first film, the Abbott family must now face the terrors of the outside world as they continue their fight for survival in silence, this time away from the farm. Forced to venture into the unknown, they quickly realise that the creatures that hunt by sound are not the only threats that lurk beyond the sandpath. Let's have a bit of shush in A Quiet Place Part 2. Of course, back again, written and directed by Jim Halpert himself, John Krasinski, who's actually stepped away from the Office and the Jim Halpert persona, now becoming Jack Ryan on streaming service. But here he is again, coming back for the long-awaited sequel. I'll preface, I absolutely loved the first film. It was fucking great. It was a surprise hit, balancing monster thriller and tension perfectly. And it was a film, when it came out, that I didn't know I needed. He follows up with more of the same from the first film, but this time, more of more. It has the perfect vibe of excruciating tension in certain scenes with cute little reveals and releases of energy. Of course, we have his bae, Emily Blunt, coming back to play the mother of the family. And look, she's phenomenal in everything. She's so good. I love her work. She's captivating. She balances the action as well as the heavy emotion scene. She's an amazing actress through and through. Although she does love a bloody excruciatingly slow turn and slow gun rate. She fucking froths it in this movie, like really slow, waiting till the last minute to cock and shoot that thing, that bloody gun. But I guess it adds to tension as well as she has to do it in complete silence. So that can be explained away on that, I suppose. The kids are back, of course, and they are really good in this film. It's kind of their film in a way. The daughter, Regan, played by Millicent Simmons, is phenomenal. She's the star of this film, let's just call it. She's the lead. It's her bloody film. She's driving this movie on a side quest, seeing her split up from her family for a purpose of the greater good. But this is her movie. She's absolutely the lead of this film. This is our Empire Strikes Back, I feel. Hopefully with a third film coming out. It's got that vibe about it. The family is split up on their own little adventures, coinciding with each other. And I get the feeling that this is the bridge to a third film. Not that this film is just like the latest Lost World film, where it's a bridge to another film. Not at all. It's its own film in its own right, which is magnificent. But yeah, it feels like this is the Empire Strikes Back of a possible trilogy, where again they split off in side quests and stuff and go off on their own. We get themes in this film that it's all about the future generation, if you will, i.e. the children of this family. They become independent and fight for themselves for a cause that they believe in, or just for survival purposes. It's obvious their parents aren't going to be around forever, okay? And in this film, it seems like they're learning to be independent on their own. We have Cillian Murphy pop up as a new character. He's a character from the family's past. And look, I love Cillian Murphy. He's a magnificent actor. He elevates everything that he's in. I haven't seen Peaky Blinders yet, but I've heard nothing but good things. I should watch that after this review. But it was only halfway through the film that I realised that Cillian Murphy was in the Rebirth film of zombie apocalypse movies 28 days later. I don't know if his casting here was a tip of the cap to that, but which that movie is a fucking modern classic in its own right. And as I said, it was the rebirth of zombie apocalypse films. I think, even though it was based on a comic book, I think The Walking Dead show was heavily inspired by that movie as well. Especially the beginning and the instigating scene and how it all starts. Cillian Murphy's in this, and again, he's magnificent, he's great, he's a thankful addition to the cast. The film does a sequel right, okay? It does more of what made the first film great, but then it expands upon it. It expands the world, and we see more faces, more people. Even though the first film was very contained on the farm with this family, which I absolutely loved, it was perfect. This one expands the world. as it were. There's an incredibly captivating prologue to this movie that we jump back in time to day one of the invading creatures and sort of where they came from and who was in the town and what happened. This film, this whole scene, this whole sequence was fucking nail-biting. It was so good. The action, the silence at times, the tension. I had a smile on my face the whole time I was watching this opening sequence because it sort of took me back to when I was a wee lad in the cinema watching Jurassic Park. It was sort of the tension of that scene, especially when the T-Rex gets out of the fence. It had vibes of that. And it was amazing. I was engrossed in it. Again, I had a smile on my face the whole time. It also had echoes of War of the Worlds in it, which I absolutely loved. John Krasinski is kicking goals with this movie. I tell you what, he gets incredible performances from his actors. His shots invite you in. You really care about these characters, obviously, not just because of the first film, but in a couple of the new characters as well, Cillian Murphy being one. There's some magnificent handheld long takes that are amazing. It sort of sucks us in and puts us right there in the action and the tension, which is wonderful. I think it was brilliant. All these, it felt like it was all planned very well, but not in a superficial way. It was so well done. This film is the perfect balance of indie and cinematic blockbuster. It's incredible. It had vibes of Walking Dead a little bit here and there, and only in the good ways. This film I was incredibly excited to see. I'm gushing about it now. But when I first heard that it was coming out, I saw posters of it and the trailer, I was like, oh, fuck, I can't wait for this movie. But of course, the shitstorm that was last year, it kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And I was like, oh, is it going to live up to expectations? Is it going to be just as good as the first one, if not better? And yes, it really is. I loved it from fucking start to finish. This is the perfect cinematic experience. And do see it in a cinema. Don't just wait for streaming services. This needs to be seen in a cinema on the big screens. And of course, it's called A Quiet Place. There's a lot of silence, like in the first film, which balances well with the action and the loud, noisy noise. And you could hear a pin drop. It wasn't an empty cinema, by the way. There was a fair few people in there when I saw it, because I think everyone was just excited to see this sequel as well as I was. But there was no chomping popcorn, no chip packets, no slurping of frozen Cokes. It was like you could hear a pin drop. Everyone respected this film, and see it on the big screen, it needs to be experienced there. I will say a couple of scenes did stretch on for a little too long here and there, a bit long in the tooth, but hey, the film was about an hour and a half. It's 90 minutes, so it fucking speeds through in a good way. It keeps the pace up and good, a lot of tension, as I keep banging on about, so much tension. But yeah, that was only a nitpick, I suppose. A couple of scenes was like, okay, let's move on now, but hey, I'll take it because the movie was brilliant. The score is amazing too. Yeah, the composition is magnificent. It provokes eerie moments, balances silences when it needs it. It's uplifting and hopeful at times as well. It was a really good score. Brilliant. Loved it. I can't say enough good things about this bloody movie. I know I'm banging on about this. This film is great. It's so good. It met my expectations tenfold. I mean, if you want to see awesomely tense monster thriller, but want a bit of substance to it and characters you care about, not just mind-numbing stupidity, this is the film for you. I said it before earlier on, it's the perfect balance of indie filmmaking and cinematic blockbuster. It is chef's kiss. Like I teased before, I hope there's a third installment. I really do. It all depends on money, of course, which is a bit touch and go at the moment with cinema experience if your film's making money because of whatever's happening in the world at the moment, of course, and it's just easier to watch films at home. But I can't bang on it enough. This is a cinematic experience. You need to go to the movies to see it. And please, give your hard-earned cash to it because it's fucking worth it. And hopefully we get a third installment because I feel like it needs one. It is teased a little bit. So yes, go see it. Yeah, support this film. That's all I can say about it. I fucking loved it. Will I give it 5 stars? Probably. For a cinematic experience? Yeah, sure. If you want to go see something that's, again, indie yet cinematic, this is the film for you. It is perfect, and the tension's amazing. Yeah, that's it, guys. That's my review of A Quiet Place Part 2. It did meet my expectations. It is fantastic. Go fucking see it. Go support this film so we can hopefully get a third one. Anyway, yes, write down below what your favourite monster thriller is, whether it is A Quiet Place 1. I mean, fucking one of the most famous ones of all time is Alien, or Aliens. Aliens actually is more of an action film. But the first Alien is more of a tense monster thriller with a bit of horror there chucked in for good measure. Write down below what your favourite one of those type of movies is. Of course, please give this episode a like. Your love and support is very much welcome. And hopefully hit that subscribe button. Welcome aboard to the Spicy Boy peeps. Love to have you on board. And as always, kids, stay spooky.